when I think about stuff, it's like I wasn't born last night, but it's like it's like when I can't think that the different ones can't get any more offensive. It's like it's more like a horror show. It really is. I really should see if I can't go somewhere just to show an example of what they thought funny was. I mean, when I look at the definition of what some people at times I wonder if they're people. I mean, that's how offensive they are. When I think about what they do and what they consider funny and what they consider are pranks and who they protect and who they fund and who they intentionally neglect and basically, I mean, it's just like it reminds me of when I went somewhere and I was like, I don't want to play anymore. It's like I'm not having fun. No, I don't want to play anymore. I think many times that children that people need to be more like children. And I mean, it's just like what does a baby do when a baby's hungry? A baby screams. When a baby's hurt, a baby screams. When a baby needs a diaper change, it screams. But basically, it's like I'm at the point of when I've tried to talk to them, they don't want to listen. So when I scream, then all of a sudden they'll come up and say that I'm being verbally abusive. But they'll never take responsibility for oppressing me, for provoking me, for pissing me off. And it's just like the world is on top of every totem pole sits a lots. And sure sits a lots always make sure that sure sits a lots is on the top of the totem pole. And so sure shits a lot never it has been in a position to go it to in fact I think about what one of them did. It's like I don't well, I'm not going to go there. All I'm getting at is that the one that's shatting upon people on the top of the totem poles don't see anything wrong on shatting on everybody. And then the ones at the very bottom of the totem poles are looking up going, all I see is an asshole. And it's like, no matter which way my head is looking, it's like, there's an asshole. There's another asshole. There's another asshole. And then going, oh, the shit is not only running down from Sir Shits a lot, but it's coming down from Sir Shits a lot Jr. and then Sir Shits a lot the turd maybe, and then it's just like, I mean, there's a reason why it's just like, but not only that, think about it. Bird shit is typically white. What is it that they do? That they call it the Holy Ghost. I mean, that's the reason why so many of the lettering is in white letters. So what they've done is they've turned everything into a church. And I mean, I just, and they have selective, just like they have Secret Service. That they have the SS. They have the choosing to act deaf when they're not deaf, choosing to act dumb when they're not dumb, and choosing to act blind when they're not blind. And I just, there's a book called Execution by Starvation. I was thinking, well, why not just call it Execution by Paper? I mean, look at what's happened. People have to go to school, have to get somebody else's approval, have to, but basically be where they don't want to be to begin with. People's worth is determined on what people think about them. The older people get, it's somebody that's like typically in supervisory capacity sitting here, but it's just like constant attacks. Just constant attacks. But look at the people where it's like, oh, it's okay, my child killed himself because he got bad grades in school, and he is, I mean, I forgot if it was Japanese or what it was. It was some kind of culture where it's like, oh shit, they're actually normalizing children killing themselves, but because of what some complete stranger thought about them in school. And I'm like, it's just another WTF moment. And then when you look at the absurdity, it's like, what is it? It's just like, oh, well, basically, people have going to school crammed on them, and then basically people, the joy of living is robbed from people, really. And it deals with somebody else's validation of them. Oh, Susie, you did so good. Here, let me give you a sticker. Stickers are made out of paper. So anyhow, oh, here's the grades. Make sure that your mom or dad but basically approves of whatever the complete stranger is filling out, that is according to whatever the sure sits a lot above them is telling the complete stranger that they have to do. And then so the ones at the very bottom of the totem pole are like, going, since when did sure sits a lot get to control everything? And it's like, oh, it is because of the cash that people have to have in order to do whatever. And then people realize that like it's all tied to banking. It's tied to banking. But then it's kind of like a gigantic octopus that basically has its tentacles in and everything. Whereas as most people I know, if they actually had the keys to the building and had access to the pallets of the paper that's been printed off called cash, would gladly go up to and just hand out whatever was necessary. Same thing with the little plastic debit cards. But of course it's about control. So meanwhile, what they've done is the ones who could easily sit there and use the cash register and even the override keys on the copier machines, make sure that the people have to give. And then so what they do is they're lying about forcing us to give something and calling it a donation. And then when we can't donate anymore, I'm being funny. But even the word donate, Don 8. A Don is a mafia boss. I mean, think about that. But when we can't donate because Don ate and we can't eat, I mean, it's a mess. It's just it's execution by starvation. It's execution by paper. And it's basically not how people who are on the bottom of the shirt sits a lot totem pole or pyramid enjoy being treated. I mean, it's just like, and the ones at the very bottom of the totem pole were never put in a position to be on top of the totem pole first. But also, there's more of the people at the very bottom of the totem pole, and that's where the different sure sits a lot. Sure, sir shits a lot. Don't want people uh, to basically realize that they're being used. It's like the Shakespearean phrase about all life's a stage, but then just thinking about a puppeteer, just always having to be in control, and just like a conductor of an orchestra having to tell which player. I mean, it's the conductor of an orchestra isn't the one that has the wear and tear on his or her fingertips from playing a musical instrument. I mean, it's just like the best thing to do is, I know it sounds bonkers, but it's like when I think about walking outside, it's like it's a cement jungle. It's like no, I don't want to. I don't want to go out in the cement jungle. I can tell what a snake in a suit looks like. I can tell what a wolf in sheep's clothing looks like. I have to listen to the Snoop Doggy Dogs and the SWAT squad cars. No, and it's just like everything. It's been kind of like execution by paper. I mean, think about it. It's been an attack on the brick and mortar of every family. Just like the absurdity of having a cocaine addict like uh, Sigmund Freud coming up with some sort of mental health bullshit on the definition of what healthy is. I mean, look at Sigmund Freud's family tree. How many of their family trees are so round that they look more like a wreath? Reminds me of when I ended up walking into a place and well, I won't even go there. It's just like I'm doing a turtle reenactment. A turtle shell kind of looks like a soldier's hat. It's like I I've I'm doing a turtle reenactment. It's like there comes a point in time. It's like it reminds me of somebody telling me that I should go out and get a gun and I should go fight him, and I just started laughing. I was like, "You got to be kidding me!" Me going out and buying a gun and going up against a bunch of army tanks is like me going up with army tanks with a plastic straw and a spit wad. Not only that, look at the ones like with the Black Lives Matter and what happened there. The ones involved in basically being kind of like the Judas goats walked up and just miraculously had uh I forgot if it was millions or what it was. But just look at how there's trillions missing. How I forgot who it was had there's $500 trillion missing. And I'm like, WTF. It's like where do you think I'd be if I all of a sudden did a disappearing act of $500 trillion? And then so what is it that they do? Let's have thought crimes. It's just like just I mean it's just like I mean it it's like I wanted to say to one of them, am I breathing right? Am I is the air that's going in my lungs it am I breathing at the right time and exhaling at the right time? I mean, I'm just like just like when I looked up at them when they told me that I had to pay for something. I just looked at them and said, can I just make up a bill and hand it over for you to pay? I mean, it's just like I'm just. I mean, what if I just went ahead and? I mean, that they would laugh at me. I mean, what if every time they hand us something we had to pay, they tell us we had to pay, we just started laughing at them. And I know that sounds bonkers, but they're in public office. They have the keys to the government building. I don't have any keys like that. They're supposed to be my public servant. And it's not that I'm arrogant. What I'm saying is, I'm not benefiting off the shit that they're doing. And they know it. And that's what just pisses me off. And it just seems like the higher sure sets a lot goes, the more cold his heart is. I mean, imagine sitting there. Think about the nursery, whatever, fairy tale, whatever it is, dealing with King Midas. He was so fucking greedy that basically he turned his own child to gold. I mean, it's just like never happy. It was all about material wealth. It's just like, at what point did they? I mean, I wonder if they even had any ability to love to begin with. Especially when one's like, what's that asshole's name? Glenn Beck. Bringing out bringing out an onion to make himself cry. I'm like, that shit ain't normal. And then I look at some of them, it's just like, I mean, there's a phrase, crocodile tears. It's like it's almost like they have no ability to cry. That everything that they do is just nothing but a big facade. They're just such fakes and frauds. And it's just like I was looking at one of them, I was like, look at the eye movement. He's reading off of a screen or something, just sitting there and acting stupid about what he's doing. I mean, that's kind of like 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 I'm sitting there and reading the lines of what they're going to be saying off of some sort of teleprompter or something else. Which gets back to the life's a stage quote. It's not funny. The whole thing's not funny. And I think that's what one of the most painful things to think about is that the shit that they think's funny, it isn't funny at all. But it's just like, I don't know. It's kind of like, don't, stop lying to me. It's just like one of them sitting there and saying they're an empath. I'm like, the hell you are. An empath wouldn't sit on the sidelines eating popcorn and doing whatever the F they want to do and just sitting there and acting stupid while my life is being destroyed. That's not my definition of an empath. It's just like, don't tell me you're my friend. I wrote one of them. I said, don't. But basically, I've written several of them. I don't want to be your friend. And then they come back with their bullshit, and I'm like, a friend does not watch somebody get hit and act stupid about it. I mean, I was hit in the third trimester of my pregnancy. I was hit in my arm. And there's just shit that's happened to me that has been physically and verbally or emotionally and what I call spiritually damaging to me. So when I go to a so-called mental health professional who says, "Is he yelling at you now?" I'm like, what the fuck? Either they're all in it or that motherfucker is so fucking incompetent. It's just like going to a different mental health professional. What does that mean? And I'm like, who's, who, who, who is the one that's qualified? Why am I having to literally define the words that I'm using? It just like another so-called mental health professional opening up the bag of books and taking off the shrink wrap, and I'm like, what the fuck? Dang. Just like another mental health professional going to the closet and bringing out a guitar to play. And I'm like, what the fuck? I mean, oh, they sure as fuck would sit there and lie in a New York second, LIE, about the shit that they did. Just like a medical doctor covering his ass in order to say something that didn't happen. I mean, when people are born, do they sit there and go, when I'm old enough, I want to go to school, or when I'm old enough, I want to go to church, or when I'm old enough, I want to put down my paintbrush and put down what I enjoy doing to have to go to go to a tutor, but because I don't understand the shit that they tried to teach me in school. I mean, think about that crap. But that's where it's like it's execution by paper. That they basically, I mean, I mean that's the reason why I call them the poison ivy schools. They might call them the Ivy League schools, but I look at them as being the poison ivy schools. They basically it's like I mean, just think about it. If I were to take one of my diplomas or sheepskin into a place, or any of the little pieces of paper, remember execution by paper, into a coffee shop or a restaurant or something, or into a grocery store and say, well, I want to turn this in, and I want to get, and that they would laugh at me. They would laugh at me. It would be like, uh, they'd be coming to take me away. Hee hee ha ho, whatever. Uh, but my point is, how much time have people spent trying to get an education? Well, what happens when we've worked on something and all of a sudden somebody comes out and bleeds all over the whatever we worked on about correct this, do that. Da, 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 da. It's just like there's not really any difference between that and it reminds me of a poem that I wrote called "The Hatchet Man," basically bringing out the axe and attacking the trees, and it caused the willows to weep. Look at a weeping willow. A weeping willow does not have the same kind of way that the branches grow out of it. It's almost like it's been over and covering itself up and crying. But it's just like people have capillaries going through their brain, through their bodies in order to deliver the blood so it can get oxygenated, so it can take the toxins out of the body. But look at like the xylem and the phloem in a tree. How many trees actually had a chance to go? I don't want to be cut down. I'd like to have a chance to live. I mean, it's just like, I mean, just think about like the photosynthesis cycle. Just look at the oxygen levels worldwide and how they've been depleted. Look at what's going on with the honeybees. I mean, they've never listened to me. Such was the case when I said nuclear power is a very bad idea. I wouldn't do it. And how many decades later, I find out that they put nuclear power plants on major fault lines. And I'm like, just thinking about it, my head just, it literally goes back and forth. It's just like, and it's like, there's, there's no need for any gag orders. But basically, I was silenced way back when. Basically, there's a reason why I don't want to come out and play. I've had enough of the shit. I've had enough of the cement jungle. It's just like, when I tried to delve into this stuff, I literally went into a fetal position. And I thought about it, it's just like, wow, a fetal position. It was like, a fetal position is what people go into, what they're in right before they're born. And it's just like, wow. I mean, think about that. But it's kind of powerful. So it was kind of like, wow, if I could do it all over again, if I could turn back the hands on the clock. That's the reason why when I look at Salvador Dali's painting with the clocks bent over, it's just like everything they do is warped or it's bent. It's just warped and bent or crooked. It's just like when I look at the symbolism with the with the double cross, like being double crossed. Yeah, I just look at it just like there's even something that deals with they're called betrayal lines. And that's the way that the lines in a man or woman's face develop. It's just like I was looking at the lines in my face, it's like not only do I have long betrayal lines, but the lines are real deep in my face. And it's kind of like I look more like a ventriloquist doll. But think about a ventriloquist doll. I mean, just everything about it. My stomach's gurgling. I gotta go.